Okay, so our next unit is biochemistry, and the focus of biochemistry is to understand how certain elements, specifically carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, are going to help to form the molecules that we need to survive. And we're going to use a variety of things. We're going to look at models, we're going to look at what we call mathematical representations, but we're going to look at how all of these elements get put together to make these macromolecules and then where they go um, once they're formed. So, some of the things we're going to talk about is the structures, functions, and behaviors of organisms that allow them to obtain, use, transport, and remove matter and energy that they need from the environment that's needed to live. And we're also going to talk about how that matter moves throughout ecosystems. So, these are some of our understandings and essential questions. And we're going to be looking at a variety of topics in this unit. So, the first topic that we're going to look at is carbon. Carbon is the most important element to living things. That's why whenever you watch an alien movie or a movie where they're looking at other planets, they're looking for carbon-based life forms because that's what we are. We're carbon-based life forms. We all utilize the element of carbon to help build the molecules that we need. So we're going to talk about carbon. We're going to talk about how the macromolecules form, and then we're going to talk about the four different types of macromolecules that living things rely on. While we're doing this unit, make sure that you write down any questions that you have so that you can ask when we do our class recap. This unit builds on itself, so you need to make sure you're understanding what we do on the first day so that you can use that information on the last day. So make sure you're asking questions. So, like I said, we're starting with carbon, and carbon is very important because it can bond with lots of other organisms. You'll appreciate my slang here. Carbon is very important. It's got Riz, no cap. It's important to understand the structure of carbon. So, the first thing we need to know just about carbon is that it is an element that allows it to make four covalent bonds. If you don't know what the term covalent is, covalent means that it's going to share electrons. There's two types of bonds. Hopefully, you learned about them in eighth grade or ninth grade, but there's covalent, which is what carbon forms easily, and ionic. So covalent is sharing electrons, and ionic is giving or taking electrons. So carbon can readily make four covalent bonds, which means it can easily share electrons with four different atoms at the same time, which allows it to make a variety of structures of molecules. It's very important. The term organic means that it contains the element of carbon, and it also has what we call a carbon-hydrogen bond. So the four major macromolecules that we're going to talk about are carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins. And most of these are found in the foods that you eat, as you saw with the phenomenon that we talked about earlier. Inorganic compounds don't contain carbon. Examples would be water, sodium chloride, which is Na, which is sodium, and chloride, which is Cl, so sodium chloride, which is table salt. There are some exceptions, though. There's carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Organisms have inorganic compounds as well as organic compounds. So when we talk about organic as like food, it's not really the same. It just means that organic food is not supposed to have um, fertilizer or pesticides that are human made. So when you talk about organic food, that's why it's called that, because it's not supposed to have any additives. So those things are important to know about carbon. The next thing that we're going to talk about is how macromolecules form. Okay. Macromolecules are very important because they are the buildup of all living things and they form in a variety of ways. So, a macromolecule is just a large molecule that's in living things. And they have two different forms. We have a monomer, which is the building block of a larger molecule. I consider that like a Lego. And then a polymer, which is a large molecule that's made from smaller molecules. That's like your Lego Harry Potter house or your Lego Friends coffee shop or your Starship Destroyer or whatever. So monomer is the single Lego, polymer is the Lego castle. So a macromolecule is a polymer, and the monomers are also macromolecules, but usually when we're talking about a macromolecule, we're talking about the larger form of that. So, in order for these macromolecules to form, they have to use a process called condensation reaction, also known as dehydration synthesis. Dehydration synthesis and the condensation reaction, they're the same thing, is the process that they use to build molecules up. So, what happens here is water is produced by a byproduct as a byproduct because hydrogen atoms and or hydrogen ions and OH ions are removed from the molecules that join together. So we're going to watch this little video here.
A condensation reaction joins
He's going
two
to talk for
molecules
me.
together to form one larger molecule. An enzyme removes a hydroxyl group from one molecule
So that's your
and
OH.
a hydrogen atom from another,
Okay.
then speeds the formation of a bond between the two molecules at their exposed sites. Typically, the discarded atoms join to form a molecule of water. Hydrolysis is
We're not ready for that part yet. Okay. So this process, as you saw, if you look in the video, if you go back here, you have this molecule that has the OH and the H. We're going to take that off. The OH and the H are going to get removed, as you can see here. And then that's going to allow this oxygen to to bond these two together. So, in a condensation reaction, you're removing water, right? You're getting dehydrated, you're taking water out in order to put these two molecules together. So, when your body is building up macromolecules, let's say you ate something that was really, really, really high in fat or really, really high in carbohydrates, and your body didn't need that energy at that time, then your body is going to use those carbohydrates to build and store that energy as fat. So your body's going to take those carbohydrates that you ate and put them together to make other molecules in order to store that energy. It's also how you make things like um, glycogen and things like that that you store in your muscles. So that's how we build molecules up. That's how we store things in our body. When we break those things down, we use the opposite reaction, which is called hydrolysis. So when we go to use that excess energy, the carbohydrates that we stored, the glycogen that's in our muscles, we have to split water and return those hydrogen atoms and hydroxyl groups to the original molecules. So if we go to this video again, we're going to fast forward here till we get to this point.
a cleavage reaction. It's like condensation in reverse. An enzyme splits the molecule into two parts.
So something's going to
It
break that
attaches a
apart.
hydroxyl group and a hydrogen group from
So
water to
hydroxyl
be
group goes here,
isolated.
the
The
hydrogen group
result
goes here.
is molecules.
Those two smaller molecules are then easier for your body to use for energy. So this is what glucose looks like that we use in cellular respiration, which we'll talk about that later. So this is the molecule that you can easily break down to use for energy in the future. So it's the opposite of the condensation reaction. Hydrolysis, hydro is water, and to lyse means to split. Okay, so hydrolysis reactions split water to make that bigger molecule. So these are the processes that we use to form all of these macromolecules that we're talking about. Okay. So that's all we're going to do for today. Have a great day. I'm going to record another video right after this. So you're going to see the same outfit. So I apologize. I'm just trying to be productive and get it done all in one shot. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.